Good afternoon and welcome to the Day After podcast on our sub-show Pixar Sunday, where we watch every Pixar movie ever made from start to finish. Today is episode 8, where we are tackling 2007's Ratatouille, directed by Brad Bird in his second Pixar-related attempt.
So I have seen this movie more than John has. I remember kind of early in dating, I showed you 3 movies back to back.
That is
Ratatouille, Up, and WALL-E.
Which may have been the impetus for the actual podcast show that we run, because I'm like, I wish that we could bottle those gigantic discussions we had over all 3 of these movies.
Yeah, and this is all those 3, but Ratatouille, which is the first. There's a lot to unpack here. With all of these next movies coming up, so I don't think we're gonna do another 40-minute Incredibles podcast.
I don't think it'll ever get there.
But it's there's a lot of interesting stuff to discuss.
What I did tell Mike about this. This is Ratatouille, WALL-E, and Up, while I have nothing in common, are all original attempts at things.
Yes,
and that is interesting. That's when Pixar, I think shines, when they try new things.
Yes.
But the one thing that I noticed the most is this is a very busy movie.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and I remember liking this movie as a kid. I was surprised by the runtime when we went to start it again, and you start to see where the fat is. There's a lot of plot lines going on all at once, some of which don't need to be there.
And I think that I definitely was a little more stuck up the first time I watched this.
Yes.
And that some of my criticisms I think still hold, but in a movie, what?
Well, I figure we should have started this podcast the way the movie starts.
Yeah. Okay. The longest standing criticism I had with this movie is that it begins with the that's me.
I bet you're wondering. He was so mad, guys. He almost left.
I was so furious, and
he almost turned the movie off.
And I got mad because this movie kind of pulls it out halfway at the end, but you do forget about that. What is it, the record scratch?
Yeah.
Transition, which is so weird for a Pixar movie to do.
Yeah, and it's weird because they start in the middle. That opening happens in the middle of a scene that you then see later. Without the record scratch, and I'm just like, what?
The main criticism of the record scratch among, I don't want to say professionals, but like the idea is, Morty said it in an episode of Rick and Morty. I don't think that a show should start where it gets interesting. I think it should start where it starts.
Yeah. And
without that, it's just a rat cooking, and I can see how that would maybe not gel quite so well.
Yeah.
It's not exciting, I guess.
Okay, so we mentioned the multiple plot lines. Remy learning how to cook and coming into himself. I'm okay with that one. Remy having to figure out who he is, what's more important, family or my dreams. I'm all right with that.
Okay.
The execution on that one is a little less clean, but I'm all right with that. And then
falling in love with a talented female chef who has been fighting against the glass ceiling of Paris her entire life.
I like Colette as a character. I don't think she needs to be a romantic interest.
I agree. That it was what bothered the shit out of me the first time I watched this movie.
And that seems like because she's a very nice, strong character and having legit criticisms, and I love that. I love watching her on screen. But you make the argument that the only reason she's there is to be a love interest.
And she's better as a character because as her size as a character is when she is just that character fighting against the glass ceiling, she takes up less of the movie. And just because your character arc takes up less of the movie does not make you a lesser character.
Yeah. So that's 3 plot lines. There's a 4th one
about the ownership of this restaurant
and whether or not Gusteau's will, whether or not Linguini is Gusteau's son. And trying to figure out, is he the rightful owner of the restaurant? And this guy who instead wants to close the restaurant and sell frozen burritos. That's a whole plot line in itself, and that takes up a good chunk of the movie.
And that is a problem that, what upsets me the most about that plot line is that after it's over, after he is ousted as the head chef, he continues to be in the plot.
Just constantly. He's constantly in the background. He's trying to catch Remy. He's doing all this other shit. And I just like, God. It's
competing for an attention in an already very crowded movie.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be bitching about Ratatouille if I didn't think it was a good movie.
I do legit like this movie. I like watching it. I think it's fun. I think some of its messages are okay, but it's busy.
I don't know whose fault that is. These characters, this general idea of a rat that wants to cook, was developed by a Czech writer who used to work for Pixar. His name is Jan Pinkava. He is the man who wrote Jerry's Game.
Okay.
And he left in 2005. He left Pixar, and nobody knows why. So they were shuffling around directors, and they said, Brad, you did really good on The Incredibles. Do you want another shot? And he saw how funny the idea of a rat controlling you Weekend at Bernie's style was, and it led to physically the funniest movie I think I've seen in Pixar's library.
Yeah. This there's a lot of physical comedic humor, which like normally doesn't gel with me. I can't fucking sit through Tom and Jerry. But this movie is visually very funny.
It's like true to the source material. And by this point, you guys watch Cars.
Oh.
That like the directors and the creation team love to just, okay, we're making something about cars. Let's learn all about cars, and then we're making a movie about food. Let's go to a bunch of culinary schools.
Yeah,
because that's the A plot. That's the A motif, and it's the best one and the one that deserves the most attention.
Yeah, and this idea that anyone can cook, and that's why I like plots A and B. I like Remy trying to marry these two halves of himself, of wanting to be a cook and wanting to step out of this stereotype of, just generally stepping out of stereotypes. I think is a really cool motif, and the fact that his family is rebelling against that at the same time that the world is, it can feel really isolating, and so I really really liked that, and I liked that so much when I was a kid. I didn't look at all the other shit that was going on.
There's a lot of shit, and you focus on it's like, not to shit on Game of Thrones every time we do a podcast, but it feels like our personal problem with Game of Thrones is that you can like certain characters, but if there are characters you don't like, you are watching your watch, waiting for those characters to come back.
Yeah, and every single time the one really screamy chef, the one who wants to make frozen burritos, every single time he's on screen, I'm just waiting for that scene to be over.
Yeah.
Which is annoying when he keeps coming back. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
There are two really good speeches in this movie that I would like to discuss if you don't mind.
Tackle Anton's second.
Well, yeah, obviously, because it comes later in the movie.
Oh, I see. What's the first one?
So the first one that I love is when Remy confronts his dad, and his dad is like absolutely sure, like, oh, this will get my son to see my point of view. And they go to this store where there's all these mouse traps and dead rats and rat poison and everything. And it's like, this is the nature of things.
It's a fairly cherry picky thing for his dad to do.
Humans kill rats. That's a fact.
No, they do, but he was deliberately trying to be a scary dick about it.
Well, yeah, he was trying to go for shock value. But anyway, and Remy completely rejects his last trump card. Like this one thing that he thought was like, yes, this will make my son see the light. And Remy's like, no, like,
I showed you dead rats and you still want to do this?
Yeah, and I love Remy has a great line is like, you can't change. His dad says you can't change nature, and Remy's like, change is nature. This idea that you can't give up part of yourself to accept another part. I love that motif of the movie, and I just wish it was given more time.
So I think if of the 5 plots, if we have to keep 3 of them, I would keep Remy the chef, his family, and Anton Ego.
And I would like, you made a comment earlier of, when you don't have the romantic subplot with Linguini and Colette, Linguini isn't really a character. He's just a tool.
We did talk about that.
And I think that he needs some characterization. I think you can do that without the romantic subplot.
And yeah, I think that was an attempt more at, again, I couldn't put words into this when we watched it 3 years ago. It needs way more time to not come off super forced in a movie that's already very busy.
What the romantic subplot?
Yes.
You mean? Okay.
Yes.
So I think Linguini does need some character. You can't just have him be Remy's hands.
Yeah.
And I don't know a good way to do that, but
this was not it.
This didn't work.
All right. My favorite speech in the film.
Which is the best speech, like...
Let's be fair, it's the saving grace of this movie. Not to shit on Ratatouille, it is far and away my favorite scene in the movie, maybe of all Pixar. It's a perfect distillation. It's so unusual that they do speeches in Pixar where everything else fades away and you're allowed to kind of wax poetic. And he has this very powerful statement about criticism of art and how much you give up trying to put yourself out there. And I think that the movie could have been about any art. It could have been about a musician or a painter, but it shows food, which people have to realize is its own art form.
Right. Yeah. Cooking and creating in that way is an art.
And during this whole very quiet pacing scene, at the end of the night when he has been told, I have to wait to see this man until everybody's gone, he's like, so be it. You've done something to me I can't. It's such a beautiful scene. And God,
this movie has probably one of the best endings I've ever seen.
Yes.
Because you have Anton goes to the restaurant. He gets served this dish. Has this really, really nice subtly played. Anton is so well subtly played. I'm mad that they used all their subtlety on that character. We could have used more of that with some of the other characters. But he goes there, he meets the chef, and he decides to, instead of being a critic, become a small business investor, and they start this little bistro in the middle of France.
I forgot that he funds the Rats like diner or not diner.
Yeah, it's a bistro, yeah. And that's it's kind of a nice nod to Paris, because when you go to Paris, you don't go to that big, huge, massive restaurant directly across the street from an Eiffel Tower. No, you go find the weirdest little dinky hole in the wall on a side street that maybe has only seating for like 20 people. And that's where you're going to find the best experience and the best
the colorful experiences. And this is great. I love this message that everything is about experimentation and you can improvise.
Yeah.
Not everybody can cook, but a good cook can come from anywhere.
And it's rare for a movie to leave you with that just great sense of peace. I wish more movie endings did this. And it's just weird to have that kind of great ending when the rest of the movie is so chaotic.
So chaotic and bloated. It does kind of fall off the rails with the roller skating waiter.
Yeah,
and two people being thrown in. Two people being thrown into the walk-in freezer.
Yeah,
it kind of loses itself, and it's a very pretty movie. I want to bring something up that people don't talk about, but I think that it's emotionally very intelligent. We'll learn later on. I'm a huge fan of Inside Out. Michael Gagne is the person responsible for how those feelings, those visual popping.
Oh.
When you eat a food, it was a way to kind of illustrate to people that don't kind of focus on their taste about what it means to visualize your food.
Mm-hmm.
And that I feel like is such a pure, wonderful metaphor that I love that they did that.
But they only did it twice.
Yeah, yes, but
you could have done so many cool things with that, but no, we had to have Linguini kissing Colette.
But we did, no, but it's a great teaching tool. But you're right. I can't keep going back to this is a busy movie.
Yeah.
God damn it. It's also a really fucking dark adult movie.
Yeah, there's dick jokes. A lot of them.
Way more than I remember.
And alcohol. I think this might be the first Disney Pixar movie with alcohol.
We got a minor drunk, a possible minor drunk.
Yeah, they don't really go into how old Linguini is, which I do like.
Constantly brandishing knives at people.
Yeah, and just how dangerous life is for a rat. Remy almost gets shoved into an oven. He almost gets burned under the table. He almost gets chopped in half by a knife. He almost gets shot several times.
Oh yeah, there's guns at the top of the thing.
At the top of the movie, this old lady brandishes a shotgun.
Oh fuck!
There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this movie, and it's
among which is the ghost of Gusteau.
Yeah. Which some people don't like. I think it's fine.
I think it serves its purpose perfectly. Is that he accepts that it is a figment, but it's not like a Tinkerbell or a Navi character that follows you around at all times. This movie's too bloated as it is.
Yeah, and it's there's no big there's no big discussion of how do these ghosts come back and what does Gusteau think about the way his restaurant's going. No, he's a figment of Remy's imagination.
I'm dead.
In the same way that Robin Williams' Teddy Roosevelt is not the real Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, okay. I got confused there for a second. Jesus. This is a good place to put Pixar Mainstays because I'm getting caught up in this fucking movie. John Ratzenberg does his best French accent as the head waiter of this.
Oh.
Yes. So I was so worried because everybody was trying their best to give a an intelligible but still authentic French accent.
Yeah.
So I was worried that John Ratzenberg was going to be too French to catch him.
Yeah.
But he's very obvious when he shows up as the biggest character in the movie.
Yeah.
The A113, I will try to get a screen grab because I didn't see it. Apparently, it's on the tag of one of those dead lab rats.
Oh, okay.
So maybe. The Pizza Planet truck is also here somewhere. I didn't see it, so I'm going to have to go digging.
For a cooking movie, this movie has a lot of chase scenes.
Yeah, what is with him chasing the rat?
Chase scenes all the time? We're chasing the rat. We're chasing cars. We're chasing the motorcycle lady.
Are they worried that food would not be interesting?
I don't know.
Okay.
Weird decisions in this movie.
That's been weird.
Can I talk about a decision I like and a decision I don't like?
All right, let's do it.
One of the decisions I really like, Remy doesn't talk.
Holy shit. This goes from where it is now to just above Cars 2 if Remy and Linguini talk to each other.
Yes, so they understand each other. There's a mutual understanding, but never does Remy physically talk to this human.
But because it's such a physically funny movie, they can get so much out of the physical motions of the rat. And when he goes, at the beginning, he's like, I can't cook, can I? And he's like, no.
And Remy's so cute whenever he talks to Linguini. It's just like, no.
And there's something very physically charming to this movie about when he wakes up and he's fucking cooking an omelet. I made a tiny one for me and a big one for you.
On a little hot plate, yeah.
That's so fucking cute for me.
So there's a lot of charm that they inject into their relationship because Remy doesn't physically talk to Linguini.
And fucking, of course, they hired a rat lady who's like...
Of course they did.
They hired a rat... She's known... It's not a bad name. She's known as the rat lady, and they hired her to make sure that you get more human, how rats actually move.
Yeah.
They said that before they brought her on, the rats were more human, which could have been really gross.
Yeah, like you could have gone into Uncanny Valley there.
Yeah. What you don't like?
I like. Okay, so this is it's a two-part thing. I like the brief attention they give the other cooks in the kitchen. The creepy German guy, the African American, they have little one-note things, and you feel each one of their personalities without them needing to spend too much time on them. I don't like how when Linguini tells them, "Oh, hey, by the way, I've actually been cooking against this rat," and they all leave.
Yeah, what the fuck?
And they're not. You don't really get a reason why. I mean, there's several possibilities. Do they think he's crazy because he's talking to a rat? Are they mad that he lied to them for all this time? Do they feel that he's inferior because they can cook and he can't?
Because Colette comes back,
but we just apparently need to get these characters out of the way so the rats can take over the kitchen, and they leave.
It's so flimsy because even Colette is like, stop talking or I'm going to change my mind. It's already amazing that I'm still here.
Yeah, but you don't say why you left.
It's so weird.
It's just and that's kind of what I mean with the decisions. There's decisions in this movie that I question.
And it's full of these moments that they feel like weird creative decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say this, there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, and I like it when people try new things. That's one of my favorite things about media. You don't need to try them all at once.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, very busy. It's like when somebody makes their first film and they add all of the ideas they wanted to add, and then it results in kind of
Yeah.
But this is the first of those Pixar movies where you could tell they shuffled creative teams throughout it, and it results in a little bit of a mess. And one of the first of weirdly several Pixar advertising missteps, they were going to have a standalone, a companion wine made in France that you could, to advertise the movie, and they got shut down because of somebody in the California Wine Institute said, you can't put a cartoon character on a wine bottle because it tells kids it's cool to drink.
Yeah.
And think about that, dude. It didn't get produced, but
that would have taken 3 seconds of thought in the writing room. Maybe not.
Pixar fucks up in the advertising department from time to time. This is the first big one.
Are we ready to move on to final thoughts?
I am. You've exhausted me.
It's a nice movie. I do like this movie, and it's one that I don't think people talk about, and I don't know why. I can get where the idea would put some people off. I mean, a rat cooking, that's just like, what? But I like this idea of using food. So many kids' movies go, oh, you need to be music, or you need to realize your acting dreams, or you need to be, if you're a girl boss, you need to go be an astronaut or an engineer.
Stank acknowledged.
I love this idea of cooking presented as an art form, and I like its message when it actually focuses on the right one.
And I like that for the same reason I like Whiplash, is that this and Whiplash are both not generic do your best movies, and that Whiplash is specifically about music, jazz music.
Yes.
And this is specifically about cooking, again, when it wants to focus on cooking.
Right.
I really wanted this to be one of my favorites because I think the message of art and putting yourself art and art criticism.
Yeah.
That speech at the end is fantastic. Very, very busy movie. Does not need to be that fucking busy, but I really enjoyed that. It's going to be another couple years before I tackle that again, so... What?
I'm sorry, all I can picture now is J.K. Simmons. Remy, why do you suppose I threw a pot at your head?
Because I used the wrong...
Squeaky, 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 squeak.
Guys, thank you for joining us on episode 8 of Pixar Sunday. Join us in 1 week where we will be tackling Andrew Stanton's 2008 work, Wall-E. She's shaking her head. We have some opinions about Wall-E. That's going to be kind of a long one, but thank you for joining us on fucking J.K. Simmons throwing a pot at Remy that I'm going to be laughing in bed later. Oh, thank you, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.